Sometimes I love technology. Uh, Sometimes I hate it. Right now, lately, I've been hating it, but not because of the technology itself, but because my technology doesn't seem to be working a lot lately. But I have nothing against technology in general. I hope to see it advance far beyond where it is right now. But the great thing about it is it allows people like me to do stuff like this. And I can just pick up the paper, read something, turn this video camera on, and just vlog about it and get it out of my mind. Whereas if we didn't have stuff like this, I'd have to sit down and meticulously, you know, write out my thoughts and things like that. So this is an article, and hypocrisy is always such a much bigger deal to me than than actual positions, you know. But this is a story from Kathleen Parker, who pretends to be a conservative economist. And I'm going to try to read a lot of it verbatim. It says, at such and such restaurant, two young old friends are catching up and comparing notes over breakfast. Anybody seated nearby quickly learns the story. Both have recently joined the swelling ranks of America's unemployed. Both hold MBAs. Their shared tales, if once unthinkable, are becoming increasingly familiar. First, blue-collar jobs disappeared. Now white collars are fading. The young and briefly affluent, accustomed to earning more than $75,000, have suddenly have time on their hands, the latest victims of the current economic crunch. Now what? And she goes on to say that some of them, you know, they're doing this and that. Something has gone terribly, they're doing this and that for employment. Something has gone terribly wrong with the American dream. This is where it gets into the crux of what I have a problem with. It says something has gone terribly wrong with the American dream. No longer is a college degree or even an advanced degree a guarantee of employment or job security. Suddenly, there seemed to be an awful lot of consultants, that's what the young people said they were doing when they were looking for work, floating around, lingering longer than usual over coffee because there's no office to get back to. She goes into a story explaining how her 28-year-old niece, with whom she shares an apartment, is going through this same thing. Consulting and freelancing, she says, are old euphemisms for a new demographic, the upscale terms for out of work. Down on their luck, these newbies to the unemployment lines aren't living paycheck to paycheck. They're living gig to gig, they say. A new poll by Tina Brown's Daily Beast and another firm confirms that Sarah Beth, the pair at the restaurant, and the niece of the author are not isolated anecdotes, but are part of a trend no one would have imagined a few years ago. Gigonomics, Tina Brown calls it. A third of those polled in a recent poll were working as freelancers or at two jobs. Of those calling themselves freelancers, 58% previously had a staff position with the company for which they're now doing gigs. This not-so-rosy scenario raises questions for which there are no ready answers. How long will it last? What if they can't even find temp work? The Bureau of Labor Statistics year-end report shows unemployment increases across the board. In December, the number of people involuntarily working part-time for economic reasons reached 8 million, a rise of 3.4 million over the previous 12 months. Her niece says she feels like she has a few weeks before she'll have to give up her studio apartment. She put herself through college waiting tables, and now she has to ask herself, do I want to spend $2 on Subway or walk 30 minutes? Doubtless, less fortunate, more experienced members of the unemployment class are dry-eyed as they ponder the travails of laid-off MBAs and magazine marketers. In other words, people that are actually poor are not tearing up over laid-off MBAs. And I'm not particularly either. But when a college education no longer pays off, and the instant gratification generation is counting change for the train, we may be in for a longer haul than anyone cares to admit. And here she goes on and on and on about the travails of these people that have MBAs that are accustomed to earning $75,000 a year, and now because of the economic downturn, they're no longer going to be able to do that. They're going to have to work job to job. They're going to have to work, engagement to engagement. They're going to have to take individual, quote unquote, jobs instead of, jobs as we think of 40-hour jobs. They're going to have to take projects basically instead of jobs. And, it's here it is, Kathleen Parker, supposedly part of the conservative, right, bemoaning the ills of a dynamic economy. Something has gone terribly wrong, she says, with the American dream. No longer is a college degree or even an advanced degree a guarantee of employment or job security. Since when? When was ever an advanced degree or a college degree a guarantee of job employment? That's what people have to realize. People go around shouting from the rooftops about lost jobs as if no one ever loses a job. People lose jobs all the time. What is it? 95% of businesses go out of business in the first year? They don't make it. Or within 5 years, something like that. 50% fail in the first year. Blah, blah, blah. That's unemployment every time. But the people don't go down and file unemployment. You're not guaranteed a job. You're not guaranteed a job. There are no guarantees in life. Listen to what your daddy taught you. And if your daddy didn't teach it to you, listen to it from me. There are no guarantees in life. You are entitled to nothing but what you earn. It is your job to place yourself and to serve your fellow man in such a way that they are willing to compensate you. It is not your fellow man's job to compensate you, regardless of whether you put yourself in a position to compensate them. When a guy has no job, that's the market saying, we don't want what you're giving us. You are not guaranteed to get something that is a job, a paycheck, a way of sustaining your family, if you are not giving anybody anything that is something that society finds useful. And in the manner in which you are providing it, they find it useful. This society finds 18-wheeler trucks very useful. Okay? But I will be out of work as a 18-wheeler truck manufacturer because I do not provide 18-wheel trucks in the manner that our society finds them useful. And that is for them to roll off the line in a matter of 2 months, for $200,000. I could build one in 30 years for about $30 million. Okay, so if you're not providing something that people want in the manner that they want it, you have no claim to anything that society offers you. You're not guaranteed anything. You are not guaranteed anything. You have to work. You have to serve. You have to put yourself in a position to earn everything that you have, everything that you will get. No, an MBA, I'm sorry, is not a guarantee of a job. You better get your MBA in something that people want. And people that have MBAs in 2 and 3 different things, they're not hurting to find work. People that have MBAs in one thing are not hurting to find work. People that have a degree in one thing are not having problems finding work. They get out of work and then they go to the unemployment line when they could go to another job. And by the way, how am I going to feel sorry for an MBA making $75,000 a year? What about saving? Back for the hard times. What about not living in the lavish lifestyles? What about saving? Has that totally gone by the wayside? Nothing is guaranteed. Be conservative, save, put yourself in a position to serve your fellow man, and it won't always be easy, but you'll wind up just fine. And you'll feel more fulfilled for having carved out your own destiny than having something guaranteed for you.